All right, so every now and then you get a chance to chop it up with Manny. He's in Arizona. The weather's perfect. He's about ready to jump in the pool. I said, Manny, don't jump in the fucking pool. Let's do a podcast.
Let's do it.
How you doing, buddy? How do you get grass
Doing
to
great.
grow in Arizona? Is that real grass?
This is real grass, man. That's winter grass.
But like, does it just die in the summertime, or is it
So
still?
there's summer grass and there's winter grass, and there's a little season for each. And so this grass, believe it or not, about a month and a half ago was dying. I mean, the summer grass. Put this one in a matter of a couple weeks. There's what you see. So
Wait a second. Do they like roll it out? Is what is that? That's like new
no
science, right?
seed. It's all seed.
Oh, it's seed?
Yeah, can you believe that?
Dude, that shit's fucking amazing. It looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had grass in my backyard. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's perennial ryegrass. That's the kind of grass you want to get.
It's Vegas. Nothing, no grass grows on.
With enough
So,
water, maybe.
so I know my AI agent somehow connected us, and here we are. But today is going to be all about you. So
Sure thing.
tell everyone a little bit about Manny Teran. Teran.
Teran, yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I'll kind of work backwards a bit, and I like to throw a curveball here from time to time. So I run a company in town called Infrared Labs. We're a tools provider for the semiconductor industry, and also astronomy and physics. So we do a lot of projects with universities. Then I also have a consultancy, Profectory, and as part of that, I have a podcast called The Voice of Growth. This is a bit of a rebrand for me. I started this podcast in January, have about 35, 36 episodes. Before that, I had a previous podcast called the Business Trendsetter Podcast with my former business partner. We're still friends and all that, but we had about 300 podcasts. And so I've been doing this for a bit, enjoy the conversations and the insights and all that. Grew up in Arizona, but I've lived in Vegas. I lived in Michigan, Albuquerque, Austin, and then came back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What is it you like about Arizona? Because I've been there a couple of times, and I got to tell you, man, the heat is just, it's a slight edge above Vegas, and I fucking hate Vegas's heat.
Well, Arizona's got a lot of different areas besides, the Phoenix or Kingman or whatnot. Within an hour drive, you can be at the top of Mount Lemmon, which you can kind of see the mountains in the background here. And it is 20 degrees cooler. So right now in Tucson, it is about 77 degrees. You drive up there, you're going to need a sweater. You drive 2 hours, there's another Sky Island. They call them the Sky Islands. And that's called the Chiricahuas. Again, a good 20, 25, 30 degrees cooler.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The shit I learned.
Big pine forest. I mean, these are deciduous sort of forests with beautiful trees and lakes and whatnot. Pretty nice.
Listen, I learn something new every day. What have you learned from doing podcasting?
Well, as we were talking in the bit of the pre-meeting here, the idea of telling a story and also of being able to share stories. If you think about the way that humans have learned over the 200,000 years we've been with this operating system, a lot of it is stories, right? It's stories. And oral tradition exists now, except that of course it's captured by cameras and of course our phones and even stories like we're having today. You and I will be able to share stories, and now you'll know when you come to Tucson that Mount Lemmon is up there and is 20 degrees cooler than Tucson.
That is true. I've learned something. Like one thing that I understand about podcasting, I've been doing this since 2009, is that you get great conversations because people inherently want to bring their A game when they do a podcast interview. And because of that, you literally get great information from those conversations.
For sure.
And not only that, you're getting it, but because it's being recorded and shared, other people get a chance to sneak in on the conversation and learn maybe a nugget of knowledge or make a connection with that person.
Yeah, for absolutely. I've had interviews. So as you know, as you talk with your guests, you're going to kind of feel out how deep or how shallow they want to go. But as a good podcast host, you want to kind of put your thumb on the scale a bit. There's been occasions when I did that and the floodgates opened and the people were sharing deep dark secrets. And I was like, whoa. And there's been other times when they're like fucking Fort Knox. I mean, they don't want to release any information. You just kind of have to feel it out and see where it goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I will say one thing. One of the things that I've learned is to prepare for a podcast interview. I always tell people, give me 5 talking points that you want to share on upon conversation, so I tell your story properly. When you do that, it saves a lot of time, and people exactly know what they're going to be talking about. They come prepared with what they want to share.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've kind of done that, but the new thing I'm doing now is more I give more of a framework and then I almost always go off topic. The reason I say this, the reason I've found a lot of benefit to it is if they come with prepared questions, answers, it's almost too scripted. Maybe I'll throw a few in there, but ultimately I want to really understand the story behind the story. Who's the man or woman behind those eyes I'm looking at and talking with? And sometimes throwing them off kilter a bit gives you that edge.
Awesome. So tell me something else about your business that I don't know.
On the Profectory side, the company that manages the Voice of Growth podcast, we work with high potential entrepreneurs, business leaders, as a lot of people do, right, in this industry. But the special sauce that we work on is the idea of looking at emerging trends in the market.
Such as like what?
AI, demographics, the gig economy, the environment. I mean, there's a lot of big mega trends at play. And then what we do is we blend into that a lot of the mindset features. I mean, we rely a lot on Stoic principles. There's other things out there. Basically, you think about the market like an ocean, and you are on this boat, and that boat is your team. Your HR, your engineers, whatever you got going on, and you as the captain need to have that right mindset to take that boat in the right direction. You and I have both been in business for a while. You've seen people go around and around in that boat.
I had a full head of hair when I got into business.
Yeah, you've seen it happen, right? And you've seen other ones that have a little dinghy and they just zoom across that lake, right, or that ocean. We've seen it all. We've seen it all, and so we really help those that are high potential. I say that because sometimes you have highly successful people that aren't really ready in their mindset to move on. I mean, they're maybe their grandfather started the business. They don't want to change what they're doing. Oh, granddad did it this way, and so we're not going to change it. They end up failing, and companies like Sears and Toys R Us, and the list is long. Kodak are all gone because of that kind of mindset.
Awesome. So, talk to me a little bit about how you've learned as an entrepreneur to deal with fear, because fear is something that literally holds most people back from achieving their best potential in life. Fear is the one thing that holds people back from starting a business, chasing their dreams, creating ventures, creating products. Most people are just afraid in life of failure, and that fear of failure holds people back. How have you dealt with fear of failure? How have you literally gotten past your fear of failure in life? And everyone has it, by the way. I'm not making
100%.
fun of anyone. I don't want anyone to take that the wrong way.
No, you're absolutely right. Everybody's got it. The way I've been able to mitigate it in my career is kind of a couple of different pistons pumping in on this engine that prevents me from going downhill because of fear. One of those is my upbringing. My father died when I was one, and so I was brought up by my mom and my grandmother, and so I have this sort of like I'm very quote unquote masculine, but I have a very good sense of the feminine side, right? I'm in touch with that whole aspect. I'm not afraid of feelings. I'm not afraid of dealing with things straight on. So there's that piston's pumping. Another piston is I built up a company a decade ago, grew it very quickly, and then the whole damn thing crashed into the side of a mountain, and I survived. I mean, not literally, but I had to close it down. It was not a very, it wasn't a glideful path that I landed. It was literally crash. So
Yeah,
that's the second piston,
I always tell people when you're an entrepreneur, the ride up is hard as hell. The ride down is a fucking nightmare. And then there's always the cleanup that people forget about. And
Yeah,
they forget that, hey, when you're the entrepreneur, you're the last man standing, whether it succeeds or fails.
100%. Yeah, so you got those two pistons pumping. Another piston is just my general attitude towards life. I've always been a glass half full. Being an engineer, I'm more of they didn't design the glass correctly, you know. So I've got that. And then the last piston is the idea of stoicism. You know, the idea that we can't control the world, only the world between our ears. I had a lot of loss and madness with relationships, divorce. I mean, I've been through the ringer a few times, and I've survived. And all that does is add to the fire of, hey, I'm going to make it, and if I don't, I'll stand up and do it again.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Talk a little bit about some of the biggest things that you've achieved in business. What are three things that you can rattle off that you've learned and done that are things that you put high up on your shelf of achievements?
I would say among those three, one of those is starting my previous company called Azterra. I started in 2010 at the heels of the housing crash, all that.
What is
And
Astera? What is that?
Azterra, we were a company, we were a product development company.
Okay.
So we came to the table with mechanical, electrical, and software engineers to design products, to test products for different individuals and companies and all that, whether it's a startup or a medical device or even Raytheon that makes missiles.
Oh,
And
wow.
I grew that from zero with no investment, bootstrap, to 4+ million in revenue in just a handful of years.
That's awesome.
And we bought a big beautiful building. We had it was like an Edison's workshop, a modern version of that. So that's something to be proud of. But
Yeah, no,
on top of that, even more that I'm proud of is the impact we had in the employees. I mean, I know it sounds super trite, but it's 100% true. The workplace that we created, the kind of projects we had, we paid well, we made a dent in the economy, and that's a good thing. I really feel proud about that.
that's
That
awesome.
yeah,
When you lift people up, when you help them put money away and help them buy houses, that's really the role of a leader. A leader is not only supposed to lead, but he's supposed to lead people to a better place for themselves.
yeah, 100%.
It's funny, you look at a very popular company right now called Nvidia, and its CEO, their CEO, has created more, I want to say millionaires and even a few, I want to say, I don't want to say, I think he's got like 90 billionaires that are part
Yeah,
of the team that have grown with the company. And if you think about that, that is just amazing.
phenomenal impact. Yeah, they're one of our customers, and I track that industry very closely. So Qualcomm is another one of our customers, Intel, of course. And you're right, that whole industry, you think about the info wars of 30 years ago, and you got the internet revolution, you've got the mobile revolution. Now we're in the midst of the AI revolution, and the whole backbone is hardware. As people don't really understand, there's server farms that are giant that are powering the Chat GPT and Gronk and all the other stuff. Where you ask a question to this thing, it's being sent to a server farm, and it takes energy and processing power to answer your questions.
Yeah, that is true. One of the things that AI is really going to change in the world today that we live in is the amount of energy consumption it's going to take.
100%. Yeah, there's some states that are going to be at or max capacity of their energy infrastructure.
I think it's actually they're at it right now,
Yeah,
and I think you're going to see more nuclear power plants be built.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, that's one thing. AI. I got a book coming out called AI or Die, and I actually believe that AI is the greatest technology that we can put a finger on that mankind's created. But I think it's also the greatest threat to mankind also.
Yeah, you and I cut from the same cloth. I thoroughly believe that and agree with you.
Yeah, it's actually kind of scary, and I look I look at what Elon Musk has been talking about when it comes to AI and the amount of energy it's going to consume, the amount of jobs it's going to replace. It's really going to put mankind on the brink of self-disaster because if you look at it, it's amazing how horrible AI is from a standpoint of it's consuming human jobs. There's not a job out there that AI couldn't do better than a human being. I don't care what it is. You could name whatever job you want.
Yeah, I had a discussion with a buddy of mine the other day about that, and he says, well, in other disruptive technology waves, there's always been sort of a pause, and then you get new jobs. Like for instance, when the Model T car came out, they thought, well, of course, it's going to displace all these jobs, and eventually, it actually helped the economy grow. And then you saw it again with television. You saw it again with the radio. You saw it with all these things, the internet, the computer, whatever. And so the difference now, why it's different, is because you're not replacing muscle, you're replacing mind. If you're the CEO of an accounting company and you've got 25 accountants that work for you, and your payroll is $7 million a year, we'll say, or whatever, and if you can replace 25 of those 25, you can replace 23 of them with AI and pay yourself that 7 million, or maybe 6 million. You pay the other two 500,000 each. You're gonna do it. You're just gonna do it. Just makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people have to understand that right now you have to be in the position to get AI to work for you or AI will replace you. It's one or the other.
Yeah, this is a question I ask of all my guests, and across the board, you're seeing people taking a hard line look at how can they use AI and work with it, then rather than stand against it. And
Yeah.
those, I mean, the people I interview are very successful. So you see that even their mindset is already thinking that way.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a scary situation that people are going to find themselves in very soon.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, listen, leave people with one inspirational thought. Leave them with something that will get them off the couch and chase their dreams.
This is a Stoic principle that it sounds terrible, but it's actually very inspirational. And that is the idea of memento mori. So basically, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. We're all going to be worm food. One day, I'll be
That's
worm
true.
food being consumed by the worms in wherever I die, right? We're literally worm food. So the inspiration for me, knowing that I will die, amor fati and memento mori are both sort of, amor fati is love your fate. Memento mori is remember you will die. Those two things are give me so much power because it gives me the ability to keep on going. And if I fall, I stand up again, and I thank God and I thank the world that I'm still here able to throw another punch. And as long as I've got breath in my lungs, I'm going to be throwing that punch.
Well, listen, I think this has been a great talk. We got to do this again sometime soon. And I love the fucking grass, man. It's so cool to see grass.
It's so lush, man.
I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, I wish I was there. I could walk in the grass and like let it go between my toes.
Yeah, I made sure to turn off the sprinklers because they go off 4 times a day,
Oh,
uh,
really?
but only for 2 minutes. So that's the secret: is you do just a couple of minutes, 4 times a day.
I think that's awesome, man. Listen, Manny, I appreciate your time a ton. Like I said, we got to do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Hold on one second.